Hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Abby. And today we're going to talk about our 2024 Executive Pricing Survey. One of the key findings that came out of it was when VP Plus were involved in pricing decisions, those companies materially outperformed in terms of pricing realization, higher sales realization than those companies that didn't involve VP Plus executives. So, what's your take on that, Michael?
I think one of the most interesting things that we saw out of the survey is not only did they outperform, but they actually set higher targets. So I think a lot of the outperformance is coming from the fact that you have senior leadership who are involved in making those pricing targets, setting them, and they're stretching their teams a little. They're not necessarily complacent with where they've been or what's happened. They're really pushing the needle and stretching the team to achieve some of those goals.
I think another key thing when you involve the senior leadership, senior leadership is usually very keyed in to the value that a company is trying to achieve and the positioning within the market. So sometimes when you're letting your pricing decisions happen within the ranks, they're looking at competition and they want to make sure they're seeing all these deals and they want to make sure they're staying relatively aligned to competition. But when you get it to that senior leadership level and that aspirational level, they're much more bold in terms of those decisions that they're willing to make. They're willing more so to open up those competitive gaps. They're saying, hey, we outperform in these various areas. We have taken the right to push our price to this level. We can open these competitive gaps. And it really takes the team outside of their comfort zone. But at the same time, it helps them achieve those results.
Yeah, and one thing to be really cognizant of is when we kind of talk about senior leadership being involved in those pricing decisions, it's really about setting that strategy, like you're talking about, understanding that value. It's not necessarily making every single pricing decision. One of the biggest gaps that we find is that companies will say, "Hey, let's put our senior leadership," and they're making every single pricing decision, and they're making every pricing exception. Whereas we find that best practice, 15 to 20% of those exceptions should be going up to senior leadership for approval. But you have to make sure that you have strong approval matrices set up so that you're not necessarily inundating senior leadership with making nitty gritty pricing decisions. And that opens up their time to think about it more strategically and really drive that strategy and drive the growth.
I think the other good element of including senior leadership on these pricing decisions is that good pricing decisions at their core, they're always going to have three things behind them. One, they're going to have a really in depth understanding around the customers or consumers and the value associated thereof. Number two, what's going on in the market and the competitive situation. Number three, the financials and how all those three things come together to help us understand where we should actually position our pricing to the customers out there. What's critical about that by including senior leadership and giving them that full perspective helps them make much more informed decisions, not only in pricing, but in product or service development, in terms of how they want to structure the organization, in terms of where they can drive more value. So it really helps them be much more well rounded and much more informed on where they need to go and where the high leverage points are.
So if you want any more insights, check out our executive pricing survey. We have one that spans across multiple industries, and we also have ones that key into your specific industry. So feel free, check it out on our website, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.